So what Israel is doing on a policy level is reducing protections for civilians to such a low level that civilians are being killed en masse with little regard for their life. So, for example, let's say there's a situation in a no-go zone. These are zones that the IDF attempted to evacuate, but they're never evacuated 100%. Many units in those zones say, anybody you see, shoot them. Their rationale is not, we're not trying to kill civilians. We just told them to evacuate. So if they're still there, they must be combatants, right? That's how it's being framed on a policy level. At the aid distribution centers, they're not shooting, they're not trying to kill civilians. They're just trying to disperse the crowd with lethal weaponry. So they just happen to be killing them. But they're not trying to kill civilians, right? So there's always this plausible deniability, and it makes it much easier to have a policy top down when it's framed this way, without like whistleblowers saying, yeah, we were told to kill civilians. There's no whistleblowers saying that. The whistleblowers are just talking about how low the protection for civilians are, which makes it look indistinguishable. Here's some more examples. Let's say there's intel that there might be a combatant in a home, but there's also 2 other families in that home. Okay, go for it. We're not trying to kill the civilians. They just happen to be there. Or let's say you see suspicious movement in a building. You're not sure it's combatants, but you don't want to take that chance, so you blow up the building. We didn't try to kill civilians. They just happen to be there. So you could always maintain plausible deniability this way. Now, are the moral implications that different from intending to kill civilians? Perhaps on like a small scale, if you're just killing a few people, intention matters. But the second you kill 100,000 or some 100,000 or so civilians, at that point you can't hide behind this lack of intent. The moral difference is not so meaningful. But if people want to understand how the commands are coming from above and how this is being justified by that IDF, that's how they're looking at it. And that's also how the Hasbaristas, the whole Hasbara community, which is now in shambles, this is how they're also looking at it. This is their defense. And this is also where a lot of the debate over genocide comes from, because at least to prove genocide in the court of law, you need to prove intent, but you could always hide behind this this idea that you weren't targeting civilians, they just happen to get in the way. So I think it's if we really want to understand how Gaza's functioning, how IDF soldiers are operating, that's kind of how it's being justified, how it's being looked at. The moral difference, in my opinion, is not meaningful. Others might argue differently.